Thank you guys for tuning in to FOSA, where you're in the right place if you want to be inspired, to be empowered. I am your host, none other than Crystal Boyd, and you know it, you guessed it, it is a pleasure to be here. I haven't talked to you guys in a little bit, but that's okay because we just get right on back on track. So today's topic is consistency. It's a very common word, very common. But how common is it to be practiced, put in motion, if you will? That's right. So what comes to mind when I think about consistency is the act of doing something repeatedly, at least until you achieve your goal, or for the sake of maintaining where you are. And if we look at the heart of the matter, I think consistency is a habit forming. It is definitely a habit. And it's not just consistency itself, but like what type of consistency do you want to have? You know, when I think about, I guess, character development, and we've all been there in life where, at least I have. I mean, you know, I haven't always been a saint. And I can remember, especially teenage years, things like that, where you're still growing and maturing, and that immaturity is there. So a lie here, a lie there, even a white lie. And then got into my young adult life, and I was still having the lie here and there. And you know what I said? I'm not lying anymore. I said a lot of things, but it was just that awakening. Like, you know, hey, I can do the right thing and it's all right. You know, even if I have to face the music to some uncomfortable situations or whatever, it's okay. So the first thing is I just made a commitment to be this type of individual and to show up every day in that way as best I could, you know. I'm not going to say Rome was built overnight, but if you work towards something, I believe that you're going to get there. So habit is something to do. Have that idea of what you're wanting to go to. And I believe that, you know, by and by, you'll do some actions that'll make that come to pass. And what other things help breed consistency? I think a little bit of a reward. I'm not big on over rewarding, but just enough, you know, like just enough to bring it home. I remember I used to celebrate turning in a paper. You guys have heard this before, especially for my old audience members, which still appreciate it, but letting the new members know that my recent education was finishing my master's degree program. And yeah, I used to celebrate when I turned in a paper, when I passed the test. It wasn't crazy indulgence, you know what I mean, of course, and I couldn't even afford it, to be honest. But it was like some type of thing that I would do to recognize my success in that capacity. I still knew it was like a greater milestone ahead, like finishing a whole course. But by golly, I'm glad that, do you know how much I had to fight to get to class? Like 1960 in Houston is crazy. Yeah, I went down that street 10 miles. And anybody knows that part of town, any time of day, pretty much is a busy, busy thing. And Louetta, sometimes I have to take Louetta. Yeah. So, oh gosh. And then I had a car with an oil leak that was bad. It was like so bad, it was using like a quart of oil a day. And I was in the place where all I could do was keep it running because I couldn't afford to buy another one. So, but nonetheless, that is a fight to get somewhere. But I remain consistent. Yeah, it was difficult. Yeah, it was challenging. But by golly, you stay down and you're going to get there. And I think another thing that I would say that inevitably helps you to be consistent is that what you're doing is realistic. You know, I like working out. That's a good example. love working out. But I had to kind of take the back seat to working out maybe for about 6 months plus, a little about 8 at the max. And I just had to do very little workout or sometimes just none. Minor injury, but I just didn't know how to work past it. But nonetheless, like jumping back in now, I know not to go advanced because I know what advanced does. You know what I mean? And you have to ease your way into it. Even if you've been working out for a while and you change your workout and you change it drastically, you really shouldn't do that. You can, but just increases your chance for risk. So you have greater chances of achieving and being consistent if you have a realistic goal. And I say above all, I have these little nuggets of ideas that can help you be consistent. But overall, God will help you. I have to point it to Him. He'll put on your heart, and give you the ability to be consistent and to deliver. Now, He'll extend His hand, but He won't magically jump in us and take control and, maybe some supernatural experiences. But day to day, we have to be willing to walk the green mile. Faith without works is dead. So how are we going to show up, right? And I think we have to really consider that. So as we recap off of these items, let's see. We set realistic goals, all right? We think about rewards. And we make sure we form a habit, a healthy habit. That's what we do. So my call of action, I got to bring it home. I got to close the loop before I bring this thing in for a landing. I want you, me, your mama and your cousin too, riding down the slab. No, I'm just kidding. That was a little bit of outcast. But no, seriously, what I want us to do is to be consistent. We owe it to God. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the best version of us. And do you know that the best version of us is existent but still not existent? Because, exist, but we got to get there. Okay? And I believe, certainly, that it can happen. Like, God gives us the desires of our hearts, but we have to move and act on those. We'll do this together. And guess what? We'll celebrate together too. We'll go through tough times together. And that's all right. Because my group of people, we don't give up. That's right. We go for the gold. And we take it home. For sure. So, it's been an honor, a privilege, a pleasure. If you haven't already, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, comment. And if you like, share some feedback, some suggestions for different content. We're open to different ideas and directions that we take the show. And be sure to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, website, still in progress, but we'll keep you posted on when the changes are final. Because guess what? We want you to check out the clothing, the accessories, and binge watch every episode that you possibly can. And we've been going strong, so it's quite a few. But until next time, we sure hope you take care.